Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we are going to be talking about Arsenal, especially about really them going forward after last night's game. So last night Arsenal hosted Manchester City at the Emirates, and really this was their biggest test to date for the title challenge that they've put up this season. I mean, they hadn't lost at home all season, and now the champions Manchester City come to the Emirates. Really big challenge. Also, if Man City won, which they did, they would go above Arsenal temporarily. So really, there were really big implications on this game. Unfortunately, Arsenal ended up losing 3-1, and I didn't watch the full game. However, it looked like, from what I've heard, Arsenal kind of controlled the first half, and really one mistake led to Manchester City's first goal, which, to be honest, I did see the goals, and Kevin De Bruyne's goal was just, even though it was off a mistake, it was still a brilliant goal. And then, I'll just get this out of the way and done with. There was a controversial penalty call where Ederson, I think he took out Saka, so I think really with that, you've got to say it's a penalty for one simple reason. If that happens anywhere else on the pitch, it is a foul. It's an instant foul. So we've clarified that it's a foul and it happened in the box. So that is, by rule, that's a penalty. Also, what you've got to remember is, even though Saka wasn't like on the ball or like clearly on the ball when Ederson ran into him, Ederson still clattered him and flattened him. So really, if you're saying that isn't a penalty, you're basically saying people can flatten each other off the ball. I mean, that's not setting a good precedent, and that really makes no sense. So, first of all, I do think Arsenal's penalty was a penalty. However, I'm not really here to talk about that. I just wanted to spend a little minute kind of explaining that. Well, really trying to put some logic behind it, because from what I've seen, some people don't really understand that. So, Manchester City then in the second half, really from what I could see, went on to just control the game, and they scored 2 goals, won 3-1. So now this sends Manchester City top of the Premier League, and let's be honest, Man City are used to being top of the Premier League. They've won several league titles. They've really dominated the Premier League in the last few years. So really, this isn't the position anyone wants Man City to be in, because they know what it's like and they're used to the pressure as well. So yeah, City are top of the Premier League though, only on goal difference. So it's not like they've opened up a lead really. However, Arsenal do have a game in hand, and that is going to be crucial, because if Arsenal win that game, they open up another 3-point lead again, which really I think will be very crucial going forward, because if Arsenal lose again, then really that's showing that the loss to Man City has had an effect on them, and then that could have an effect going all the way towards the end of the season. Also, I think there's only like 22 games being played so far, so there is quite a while to go, and Arsenal do have a chance to put this right. It's not like there's only a couple of games left and Arsenal really have to step up, but also they can't really afford to go on a bad run either, because we all know what Man City are like. Man City will capitalise on that. So really, after this game, I think now Arsenal's biggest test is the rest of the season. I know I said Arsenal's biggest test was Man City, but after that loss, really I think that test has kind of shifted to the last 16. I think for Arsenal it's 17 games of the season, because after you lose such a big game like that, you really need to bounce back. And for some teams, it can take them a game or two to bounce back. However, Arsenal have lost before in the league this season, and they did bounce back after that. I mean, obviously they've been top of the Premier League for quite a while. However, this is a different sort of loss, because at that point they weren't really under that much pressure, because not a lot of teams were expecting them to do this well. So even though they came back, there wasn't anywhere near as much pressure as there is on them now. So yeah, this is going to be a lot more difficult to bounce back from for Arsenal, I think, especially because the team really is known for collapses in the Premier League. And also people have already been saying that, oh, this is around about the time where Arsenal collapse and all that. So really, it's going to be interesting because it seems like Mikel Arteta has built a very good, resilient Arsenal team. So I would hope that they can bounce back from this, but it also depends on how well Man City do as well. Because if Man City keep winning and winning and winning and winning, that's going to put more pressure on Arsenal. But then again, if City slip up and Arsenal can open another wider gap, then we might just see Arsenal step into their stride a lot easier and a lot sooner. So really, it depends on how both of them do, but really, it's down to Arsenal. They have their own fate in their hands, really. So now that City have beaten them and Arsenal have surrendered top spot, I think we will see what this Arsenal team is truly made of. Because when you lose a big game like this, it's weird because it affects teams in different ways. And teams can fall off straight away. Some teams can just bounce back. I mean, some teams take it very, very well, and they take it as like a positive. It's almost like some teams take it as a positive, if that makes any sense whatsoever. They can look at their flaws, or they can see it as a challenge. And really, with how young Arsenal's team is, I think that they might just see this as a challenge, and they might up their game. Because then it's like, oh, okay, Man City have just put across a challenge. They've beaten us 3-1 at our home ground. So, really, it's kind of like the doubters are coming out as well. And I think Arsenal, considering how resilient this Arsenal team has been so far, I'm not thinking instantly they'll just collapse, even though it could happen. You just don't know, really, because Arsenal haven't been under this type of pressure before. So really, for me, for this Arsenal team to be a great team, this is the type of thing that they need to bounce back very well from. And that's what the great teams do. They need to be tested. And I've been saying all season, Arsenal will be tested. They will lose a big game at some point. And then they will truly be tested to see how they bounce back from it. I mean, you think of all the great teams throughout history, not just in football, just across all sports, all big teams lose big games, and then the great teams, and that separates the great teams from the good teams, really. The great teams bounce back. They might not bounce, as I've said, they might not bounce back straight away. Not all teams bounce back straight away. Sometimes teams need to regroup more and go and see, okay, what's been exposed about us? How can we fix this? Then sometimes they need to go through the motions again and see what works. Because when one of your weaknesses is exposed, you're not always going to find the solution straight away. That just isn't how it works all the time. And sometimes you find the solution quicker because it can link in with something else. So it's like, it really depends on what Arsenal do. It really depends on what the training staff and Arteta do now, really. So with Arsenal, I think really we will see over the next probably 4 games, we will see truly what they are made of as a team. They don't have the most difficult next 4 games, but I can see some of these games being difficult because of the situation. So their next game is against Aston Villa away. Aston Villa are currently in 11th place, so they're a mid-table club. That could be a potential banana skin for them. So they could slip up against them. I mean, mid-table club, they usually can cause upsets as well. I mean, Villa are a good team, and they are capable of causing an upset. And then after Villa, they are away at Leicester City, and Leicester City are currently sitting in 13th, and they are a really interesting team because they were really struggling at the start of the season. Like, really, I think before Christmas, a lot of people were pinning them to go down. So they have had a resurgence, and they are on some pretty good form. I think in the last 5 games, they've won 2, maybe lost 2, and I think they've drew 1. So really, Leicester are a team that, yes, they're around mid-table, but they are on some pretty good form. So that could be another potential, banana skin for Arsenal. Then Arsenal are at home to Everton, who are in 18th place. in the relegation zone, and they really are struggling. So I think Arsenal should really pick up a comfortable win there. And then they are against Bournemouth, also at home, who are in 19th. So I think that should really be another comfortable win as well. So really, at least 2 out of the next 4 games, Arsenal should win comfortably. They could win all of them, to be honest. I mean, Villa and Leicester are just potential slip-ups. So really, their next 4 games, we will kind of see more of what Arsenal are made of. So those are really kind of my thoughts on Arsenal going forward and in the game against Man City. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you thought about the game, Arsenal and Man City. Let me know what you think really about the title challenge, and let me know what you think about Arsenal and Manchester City going forward for the rest of this season, because I think this title race has just gotten very, very interesting, even though Arsenal do have a game in hand. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this, subscribe to the channel. I do a whole range of videos. These aren't like the only types of videos I do. So yeah, if you like these types of videos, subscribe to the channel. Check out the other videos on the channel, see if there's any other videos that you like. And yep, thank you for listening again, and I will see you in the next video.